welcome to qiphyedu. They'll be looking at economics A2 level, paper 32, February-March 2022. All right, let's start. Okay, so for the first question, it says, what can be deduced about an economy where no one can be made better off without making someone else worse off? So basically Pareto optimality, which also means that your MC, your P equals to MC, your price would be equal to your marginal cost, which also translates to allocative efficiency. So let's look at the four options and seeing which one is the correct answer. A, it says firms succeed in maximizing profits, which is incorrect. Maximizing profit is profit maximization, which also means MC equals to MR. This doesn't mean allocative efficiency. It also doesn't mean that P equals to MC. Therefore, it is not at the social optimum level as well. Okay. B, production causes no external costs or benefits. This is incorrect. And C, the distribution of income and wealth is perfectly equal. This is about income equality and wealth equality, but we're talking about socially efficient output. So C is incorrect as well. Answer is D, the resources of the economy are allocated efficiently. Okay, so no one else is made better off without making someone else worse off. So everyone is already, able to consume at the socially optimum level, basically, right? So 2, what is equivalent to social benefits? So social benefits will basically be the benefits that every single person receives, regardless of being you yourself, but also people outside because of you consuming that particular good, right? So A, it says the amount that the government spends on social security benefits. This is incorrect. Oh, and also one thing to note, for benefits here, normally we are talking about demand, right? Consumption. So B, the benefit gained from society from total government spending, which is also incorrect. And C, the benefit to third parties from household consumption of goods. This one is external benefits, not social benefits, because for social benefits, it's a combination of both the external benefits and also the private benefits. So D, the private and external benefits from household consumption of goods should be the answer. So answer is D. Question 3, the diagram shows the average cost, marginal cost, average revenue, and marginal revenue curves for a monopoly. At which point will allocated efficiency be achieved? Okay, in order for allocated efficiency to be achieved, remember, price must be equal to marginal cost. So let's look at the point where the price equals to marginal cost. So if you look at the diagram here, you see that the MC curve must touch the AR curve. So the point where the MC curve touches the AR curve, which is also the demand curve, by the way, it will be at point P4, Q3, and also it will be at D. So answer is D. Question 4, how can the concept of marginal utility explain the shape of the downward sloping demand curve? Okay, so marginal utility basically, according to the law of diminishing marginal utility, for every single additional unit that you consume, your marginal utility will decrease, because the additional satisfaction and gain will just decrease, because if you consume, let's say, one good, maybe your marginal utility is 100, but then when you keep on increasing, it may probably drop to 90, 80, 70, and so on and so forth, because you'll probably be satisfied with, let's say, eating one piece of fish, for example, but you can't eat a lot of fish. Okay, because once you eat a lot, you start to feel full and you lose your appetite. Yeah, that's an example. So A, it says consumer tastes and preferences only change when their spending power increases, which is incorrect. Consumers' tastes and preferences can change anytime regardless of their spending power, right? B, extra unit gain from consuming successive units of a good will fall continuously. So this is the correct answer. But let's look at the other two options to see whether or not they're correct or wrong. So C, it says satisfaction of consuming one more unit of a good is greater than the loss of money spent, which is incorrect. Your demand curve or your marginal utility curve is basically showing you your quantity times your price, all right? And then your MR curve basically means the additional satisfaction and gain, which is also based on quantity times price. Therefore, to say the satisfaction of consuming one more unit of a good is greater than the loss of money spent is incorrect, because they are also represented on the same graph, and they're using this, it's calculated based on the same units, same quantity times price. C is incorrect because of that. And D, total utility gain from buying more and more units of good will continue to increase indefinitely, which is incorrect. Once you reach a point where MR equals to 0, and then you start to consume more of that good, your total utility will only decrease because your marginal utility would be negative, right? So answer is B. Question 5, XY is the budget line of an individual consumer, and which changes could leave the position of XY unchanged. Okay, so basically the budget line represents the maximum combination of two goods that a consumer can buy based on the price of the good and also his or her income. So if let's say the consumer's income were to decrease, if you look at A now, so if let's say the consumer's income would decrease and the price of good M decrease, and then price of good N increase, then A would render the position of XY to be different from what we are seeing right now, because if let's say price of good N increases, then you'll be buying less of good N, for example. Then price of good M decreases, then you'll be buying more good X. And then your consumer income decreases, so you'll be shifted inwards, so A is incorrect. Okay. Now scenario 2, which is also B, consumer income decreases, so it may look something like this. And then price of good M would then increase. Okay, price of good M increases. So when price of good M increases, it will become something like this because you can only buy less. Then price of good N increases as well, so you buy less of good N, so it will shift inwards as well. So B is incorrect. Let's look at C. C, consumer's income increases, so that means the budget line shifts outwards like this. And then price of good M increases, so you buy less of good M. Okay, you buy less of good M. And then price of good N decreases, so you buy more of good N, so you shift out, shifted horizontally like that. So C is incorrect because of this. Okay, final one, option D. The consumer's income increases, so it shifts outwards. Price of good M increases, so it shifts outwards like that. And price of good N increases, so it shifts back to the original position. So answer is D. Alright. Question 6, the diagram shows an indifference map and two budget lines. When the consumer's budget line shifts from BL1 to BL2, consumption changes from point W to point Z. And what do these changes indicate about the nature of the goods X and Y? Okay, so your budget line shifts outwards, meaning that you have an increase in income. And then you realize that there is a decrease in the quantity purchase of good Y, but then there's an increase in the quantity purchase for good X. This tells you that when there's an increase in your income, you'll buy less of good Y, and then you'll buy more of good X, which means that good X is a normal good, and good Y is an inferior good. Therefore, answer is A. If let's say the budget line is slightly tilted upwards to the point where it's the same level as W, then both of these will be a normal good. But if your indifference curve is somewhere around this position, meaning that you'll buy more of good Y and less of good Z, this means that good X would then be an inferior good. So yeah, vice versa, depending on the position of the indifference curve. Question 7, small farmers supply all their rice production to a single buyer. And which term best describes this market structure? Okay, single buyer in in economics basically means monopoly. Therefore, answer is C. Okay, monopolistic here, it could be monopolistic competition, which means that there are many firms, but they are selling differentiated products. Similar but differentiated products, not the same products. Related products, better term would be related products. Monopoly basically means there's only a single seller. And then perfect combination means that there are many sellers selling the same product. And monopoly is basically meaning that there's a single buyer, so I'll say C. Okay, question 8. A firm operating in an imperfectly competitive market decides to change its objective from sales revenue maximization to sales volume maximization, and why might it have decided to do this? Okay, so if you were to change from sales revenue maximization to sales volume maximization, this means you have changing from MR equals to 0 to AC equals to AR. Okay, you're just breaking even. Okay, so why might I have decided to do this? Of course, if you were to do something like this, I think, the graph on the bottom should be able to represent that. So you can see here, if let's say you're selling at a point where MR equals 0, it will be something like this. Okay, and then your AC will be here. So you'll still be able to make a profit, but not that much compared to profit maximization at MC equals to MR. But if you were to produce at AC equals to AR, then you'll be making a normal profit. Okay, and you'll realize that by doing this, the AC curve would slightly tilt upwards, and then that means your cost will increase. All right, and then your MC curve would then also increase at a very steep rate, and you won't make any super normal profits. So looking back at this table, You can see that for the leftmost row, it says this is to increase short-run profits, which is incorrect. So C and D will be wrong. And then maximize short-run market share. You will increase your market share because the quantity that you sell on the market would increase. So it's yes. And then for minimize short-run average cost, which is incorrect. Because if you look at the graph, the average cost increases when you were to sell at a point where you can break even early. So minimizing short-run average cost would be no. So answer is B. Okay. Question 9, the diagram shows the marginal cost, average cost, marginal revenue, and average revenue curves of a profit-maximizing monopolistically competitive firm. And based on its profit and assuming no market growth, what is likely to happen to the demand for the firm's output in the long run? Okay, so there's no market growth and based on its profit. So if it's profit-maximizing firm, it will always be MC equals to MR, which is this point. All right, and then this is the amount that you earn. Okay, so let's look at ABCD. A says the short-run profit position will encourage other firms to enter the market, and the firm's demand curve will shift to the left. Okay, so this one, you realize that this is actually in a monopolistic competitive firm. If let's say in that particular market, firms are able to earn a profit, then many firms will enter. When many firms enter, then it will increase competition. When it increases competition, it will result in more firms entering, and then at the end of the day, when there are too many firms, it will end up just allowing the firms to earn a longer profit, right? So yes, the short run profit position will encourage other firms to enter, and the firm's demand curve will shift to the left. But let's also look at the other three options. B, it says demand curve will shift to the right, so that's wrong, because this is only talking about firms' demand curve and not the overall demand curve. C, the short-run profit position will encourage other firms to exit the market, which is incorrect. We're already at the point where you can maximize profit and you can earn super normal profits, so there's no reason for the firms to exit the market. So C and D is wrong, so answer is A. Question 10, a monopoly firm is producing output OT and selling its product at price OW, thereby maximizing its profit as shown. And the government now decides that the firm's operation generates positive externalities and so gives the firm a subsidy. Assuming that the firm continues to seek maximum profit, what will result? Okay, so you can see that the average cost curve is here, right? And then it shifts to the right. And then the original MC curve is here. And then and then there's a subsidy. So if you look at the four options here, based on the fact that it wants to seek maximum profit, so if you look at the four options here, A says the firm continues to produce OT and price remains at OW. Now this is incorrect. The supply curve has shifted to the right, so it's AC plus subsidy instead of AC. So it's not going to be at the same price. Instead, the price will be decreased, but to what extent? B, the firm continues to produce OT but charges a lower price. This is incorrect. If you produce at this quantity, but then you sell it at a low price, not everyone can be able to purchase that product at that particular price because it's insufficient. You will not be able to meet the demand. And C, the firm increases production above OT and reduces price. This is correct because you'll be able to increase your prices. You'll be able to increase your quantity and also decrease the prices because of the increase in the AC, shift of the AC curve to the right. So at the same time, your MC curve would also be different than this. So your production would then increase. Okay. And then D, the firm reduces production below OT and reduces prices by the amount of the subsidy. It will not reduce production, it will increase production because of the subsidy. So therefore, the answer here will be C. Question 11. In many developed economies, large and small firms often exist side by side in the same industry. And what is most likely to explain the survival of the small firms? So basically, small firms, they exist because of the fact that there's a niche market. right? Custom-made items and all those. So A, it says they each offer a much wider range of products. This is incorrect. The only type of firm that will be able to do so will be large firms. And B, they have a higher minimum efficient scale. This one is for larger companies, not for smaller companies. And C, they pay much higher wages. This one is also larger companies, does not apply to small firms. And D, they provide a more personal level of consumer service. So answer is D. Because it's not something that large firms can do due to the amount of customers that need to handle every single day. Okay. Question 12. What is generally associated with the principal agent problem? Okay, A, it says directors prefer company growth to greater shareholder dividends. This is a principal agent problem. Let's look at the other three options. B, it says managers ignore workers' concerns about safety in the workplace. This is not a principal agent problem. The principal agent problem here is basically shareholders and managers, basically. C, it says shareholders determine the price of products. It's not a principal agent problem because it's not like the other person is not following. And D, workers go on strike against managers' reorganization plans. Incorrect. So you have to remember that for principal agent problem, it's shareholders and managers, not workers and shareholders or workers with managers. It's managers and shareholders. So answer is A. Question 13, a government wishes to reduce the negative externalities caused by the use of coal, and which policy should the government use? So basically decreasing supply or decreasing demand. So A, it says impose an indirect tax on the production of hydroelectric power. This is incorrect. If you impose an indirect tax on the production of hydroelectric power, people will use more coal to produce electricity. Hydroelectric is a much environmentally friendly way of producing electric as compared to coal. So if you impose an indirect tax on the production, it will result in an increase in demand for coal instead, so it's a plus symbol. B, it says increase income tax, which is incorrect. Okay, because if you increase income tax, then your disposable income will decrease, and when your disposable income decreases, people will switch to a cheaper alternative. C, remove any restrictions on coal production. Incorrect. You need to restrict it to reduce the coal usage. And then D, subsidize wind power electric production, which is correct. Because if you subsidize it, people will use more wind powered electricity. Alright. Question 14. What would be an example of nudge theory? Okay, A, it says a subsidy. A subsidy is basically government giving the subsidy. It's not nudge theory. It's not basically provisional information. B is also not provisional information. C is also not provisional information. So answer is D, putting fresh fruit at eye level. So people will buy the fruit. Yeah. Directly, or maybe they'll consider buying it. So increase the demand for fruits. Okay, 15. When is a policy of income redistribution from rich people to poor people most appropriate? Okay, so normally for getting redistribution income from rich people to poor people, this is normally done through direct taxes. Okay, and it has been progressive. So A says when control of demand pool inflation is the priority. This is incorrect. And B, when equality is valued more highly than efficiency. Yep, this is correct. So income redistribution, basic income equality. So if you value equality higher than the efficiency, then yes, it'll be possible to be able to get your income redistribution from the rich people to the poor people. Let's look at the other two options. When monetary reward is the best incentive to risk-taking, which is incorrect. And D, when the rich have higher margin utility curves than the poor. No. So answer is B. This is the best answer because equality is valued more highly than efficiency. Because when you're talking about income redistribution, we're talking about income equality. Alright. Question 16. Which diagram correctly shows the relationship between the average product and the marginal product, given that the quantities of other factor inputs remain constant? Okay, you need to remember that for your average product and your marginal product, it will only increase to a certain extent and then decrease. Therefore, AD is definitely out of the question. So let's look at C and B. So if you see here, your average product would always be lower than your marginal product. The reason for that being your marginal product determines the additional unit, the product that you receive from the additional unit of labor. Okay, so your marginal product will definitely drop much higher than your average product. So if you look at C, you see that the average product is much steeper compared to MP, which is wrong. Your AP would be less steeper than your MP. Your MP will always be the much steeper one in this case. So answer is B. Because you also have to remember that for AP, it's basically just dividing the total product by labor, whereas for MP, is you're calculating the additional product that is produced by an additional unit of labor. Okay. So for question 17, wages in Industry X are significantly higher than in Industry Y. And what could explain this difference? Okay, so wages in Industry X are significantly higher. So let's look at the four options here. A, it says workers in Industry Y are highly mobile, which is incorrect. If let's say workers in Industry Y are highly mobile, your wages in Industry Y would actually be significantly higher than wages in Industry X, rather than it being the other way around. And B, it says trade union organization in Industry Y is relatively strong. This is incorrect. If trade union organization in Industry Y is relatively strong, your wages will not be significantly higher. It will probably be slightly higher or probably the same, but not significantly higher, because trade union would help the workers to demand for a higher wage. C, Industries X and Y compete with each other for workers, which is incorrect. If that's the case, then their wages would be roughly similar, all right? Maybe slightly higher, but then in most cases, roughly similar. And D, Industry Y has non-monetary advantages or non-pecuniary benefits. So yes, this would be the answer. So I'll say D. Question 18, economic growth has both benefits and costs. In which situation would living standards be judged to have definitely increased? Okay, so now we're talking about living standards, not GDP, but rather GDP per capita and also HDI. So if you look at A, B, C, D, let's look at A first. A, as countries become industrialized, economic growth led to a fall in hours worked as well as a rise in real incomes. Yes, because if you have a decrease in the working hours and then an increase in the real income, this means that you don't have to work extra hours just to get the extra pay, and then you have better standards of living because you have much better work balance, right? But let's look at the other three options. B says China had a huge rise in real GDP per head in the last 20 years, which is the GDP per capita that I mentioned just now. But there was a decrease in air quality in urban areas, which is significantly getting more and more common. There's a bunch of environmental issues associated with economic growth in China. So if let's say there's a decrease in air quality, then there'll be more and more people getting asthma. When there are more people getting asthma or respiratory diseases, they'll go to the hospital. So the standards of living will actually decrease. So B is incorrect. And C, economic growth in high-income countries has seen childhood obesity decrease in standard of living, but has also seen increased resources devoted to its treatment. So decreased standards of living. So C is correct. D, the 1990s saw a significant rise in real GDP per head in the United States with only a relatively small increase in the Gini coefficient during the same period. Even if there's only a relatively small increase in the Gini coefficient, this means that there is still income inequality, and this also means that living standards have not necessarily improved, even though there's a significant rise in real GDP per head. And if you compare with A would be the best answer because a fall in hours worked and also a rise in real incomes definitely would mean that there is higher living standards because of a better work-life balance, and your real income is already basically income adjusted for inflation. So if let's say there is a rise in real income and then a decrease in working hours, you are basically much better off in this condition. So answer is A. Question 19, what is not included in national income accounts? Okay, national income, so basically what the country earns. A, it says a gift by a parent to her daughter as a deposit on an apartment. Incorrect. So you need to remember that a gift by a parent is basically a transfer payment. It's not calculated in the national incomes, but income. So let's look at the other three options. B, it says earnings of a part-time worker in a school dining room. This is included in the national incomes. Yes. And B and C, interest earned on savings account intended for retirement. This is also national income. D, profits reinvested by a company to fund capital expenditure, also national income. So the one that's not national income would be a gift by a parent to a daughter. Right. Question 20, a government wishes to attract foreign direct investment to assist the development of its economy. What is most likely to encourage this? Okay, so wishes to attract FDI. A, it says improve health and safety standards for workers. It may encourage, it may not. In most cases, not really. Because we are talking about the benefits that will directly benefit multinational companies. B, it says increase import quotas. Incorrect, because this will deter people from coming in. And C, increase spending on infrastructure. This is correct, because when you improve your infrastructure, then only that people will really want to come in, and then because the factor of mobility, you'll make it much better to hire workers and so on and so forth, and also shipping out the items to other countries much easily. And D, introducing a minimum wage. This one is incorrect, so I'll say C. Question 21. Which indicator is least likely to be used when measuring the comparative economic development of a country? Okay, so economic development. Your adult literacy rate is included. Your average life expectancy is included. Your level of real GDP per head is included. But doesn't really matter about the size of population. So answer is, of course, normally for economic development country, in most cases, the birth rate will definitely be lower. Okay, the birth rate will definitely be lower than countries with lower economic growth in this case. But here, when we're talking about economic development, the more important ones would be the literacy rate, life expectancy, and also the real GDP. Question 22. Which term is given to short-term unemployment when people are changing jobs? This one is frictional unemployment, so answer is A. Okay, voluntary unemployment, it could mean many things. It could mean frictional, it could mean seasonal, all right? And involuntary would mean cyclical and also structural. Cyclical is basically when there's a unemployment caused by economic recession. Structural is basically when there's a change in technological processes resulting in the workers who are not adapted to the skills to be unemployed. Frictional is basically when you're unemployed because you want to change jobs. Seasonal is basically you have no job because you can't do that particular job in that particular season, right? So it's not D because it's more vague, all right, compared to frictional unemployment. Okay, for question 23, the table shows data for an economy's labor market. So number of people of working age will be 42.7 million. Number of people of working age who are actively seeking work but are not working will be 2.2 million. And number of people of working age who are not actively seeking work will be 9.4 million. Okay, so in this case, we can just take 42.7 million and we can just minus 9.4. So we'll get 33.3. And then the people who are already working would be 31.1. Okay, 31.1, then we can just multiply with 100 and we can get the percentage. But it's not to the nearest whole number yet. We just need to know roughly what the raw numbers are. So 31.1 times 100 divided by 33.3. We will get 93.4. In this case here, we only have 4 options here. So the nearest one will be 95%. So answer is D. Alright. Question 24. Rapid economic growth is claimed by some to harm the environment, and which outcome will not harm the environment? So let's look at the 4 options. A, it says the greater mobility of workers resulting from increased vehicle ownership. Normally, when it comes to vehicles, it doesn't mean electric vehicles. And even if it's electric vehicles, you also result in damage to the environment because the initial production process of batteries and all those would already result in pollution. Vehicle ownership of in internal combustion engine vehicles that use petrol and diesel will also cause pollution to the environment in the long term. So A is incorrect. B, the increased levels of income that reduce fertility and family size, this will not harm the environment, right? Because fertility rates and family size that is reduced will mean that there will be less people. When there's less people, you need to produce more to cater to these amount of people. And C, the relocation of workers from agricultural to manufacturing employment would harm the environment because you need to have capital goods, and those capital goods, mainly machineries, will result in pollution to the environment. So C is incorrect. And D, the use of improved technology to access previously inaccessible natural resources. So if you use the natural resources, it will result in raw materials being used up. It could be non-renewable sources, but in most cases, it is non-renewable sources. So D is incorrect, so answer is B. For the reasons I mentioned just now. Question 25, the diagram shows an increase in both aggregate demand from AD1 to AD2 and aggregate supply from AS1 to AS2, and which shows the output gap after the increase in AD and AS. So initially it's AD1 and AS1, which is Y1. Okay, and then it moves on to AS2 and AD2, which is at Y3, right? So the output gap here supposedly should be supposedly here the output gap should be between the quantity now that is a quantity that is already the quantity that is already it is already at the optimum level, and also the quantity at full employment. So you can see here for average supply 2, the full employment point is at Y4, but then you are producing at you are now outputting at the level of AD equals to AES, so it's Y3. Therefore, your output gap here would be Y3 to Y4, because you're not producing at a point where the aggregate supply is already at full employment. So the output gap here would be Y3, Y4. Right? Question 26, which statement will be associated with Keynesian economic theory? So Keynesians believe in government intervention. So A, it says a change in the money supply is the main determinant, incorrect. B, when unemployment falls below its natural rate, there is an upward pressure on prices, incorrect. And C, total spending economy affects real output, so yeah, government intervention. And D, wages and prices are flexible, so employment will always return to its actual rate. Keynesians don't believe in the fact that wages are flexible, so I'll say C. Question 27, in a closed economy with no government sector, the multiplier shows the impact of a change in what? So a closed economy with no government sector, so no X minus M and no government expenditure. So no taxation, basically. So so here multiplier is basically about investment of national income. So if it's not okay, because this is talking about multiplier, we're talking about injections here. So if it's about consumption, it's incorrect because that's not included in the secure income. And so here, if it says national income on investment, that's the accelerator effect. So it's B. Ours is B. Okay, so for question 28, it says in year 1, countries X and Y are each in balanced payments equilibrium. In year 2, country X, an exporter of oil, raises the price, which increases its foreign earnings by 500 million, half of which is deposited banks in country Y. And country Y is an important buyer of X oil, and the price rise increases foreign expenditure by 400 million. The things remaining equal, what are total currency flows? So so you can see here, in year 1, it's in equilibrium. Year 2, it increases its foreign earnings by 500 million for X, and then for Y, it increases its foreign expenditure by 400, so negative 400. Okay, so now half of the money is now deposited in country Y, so this one we just take minus 250. So we get plus 250, and then move over to country Y, so it should be minus 250. This one plus 250, so we get minus 150. So the answer is already here. X is 250 and Y is negative 150. So I'll say C. Question 29. What does the Laffer curve show? Okay, so A, it says the relationship between the rate of inflation and the rate of unemployment. This is incorrect. B, it says the relationship between the rate of interest and speculative demand. Incorrect. This one, Laffer curve, is about the tax revenue and the tax rate. So C is correct. And D, it says the relationship between how two goods can be produced in an economy and given resources. This one would be your production possibility curve, not your Laffer curve. So this is incorrect. Question 30. The table shows key macroeconomic indicators for 4 countries in 2018. What can be concluded from the table? Okay, so you can see economic growth percentage change in GDP per annum in Argentina is negative 6.2. China is positive 6.4. Italy is 0. United States 3.0. Unemployment rate in Italy is quite high, it's 10.7. Argentina 9.1. China 3.8. Same as the United States. Inflation rate in Argentina is 50.7. China 1.5. Italy 0.9. And 1.5 for the United States. And then current account balance is negative 4.8 of Argentina. Then for China, it's 0.4. For Italy, it's 2.6. United States, negative 2.4. Okay, so let's look at the 4 options here. A, it says countries with current account surpluses had low unemployment rates. Okay, so let's look at the ones with current account surplus. That will be China and Italy. But you can see here that for Italy, the unemployment rate is 10.7. So A is incorrect. B, it says countries with high economic growth rates had high inflation rates. Okay, so if you look at China and United States, which basically has a percentage change of 6.4 and 3.0, the inflation rate is 1.5, but Argentina is 15.7, so B is incorrect. C, countries with low economic growth rates had high unemployment rates. So if you look at countries with low economic growth rates, that would be Argentina. The unemployment rate is 9.1, so it's relatively high. is relatively high. Same goes for Italy because the economic growth is 0 and then the unemployment rate is 10.7. So it's sound because of these two data that is able to prove that this is correct. And D, countries with positive economic growth rates had current account deficits. So positive economic growth rates, that will be 6.4 and 3.0. The current account balance is 0.4 for China and negative 2.4 for United States. So to see that countries, because it's making a relative statement here saying that typically they will have current account deficits, that's no, because the United States have even though the United States has a current account deficit, China has a current account surplus. So D is incorrect because of that, so answer is C. Alright, so this is the end of this paper. I hope you guys find this video helpful. Do share this video out to other people who may need help with economics A2 level. As always, I hope to see you guys again in the next video. Till then, this is qiphyedu. Goodbye.